No, I see the CH. There you go. Hey, everybody. It's Lisa Kipps-Brown, your host for Disrupt Your Now. Now I can see it, Gable.
Okay.
I want y'all to meet my friend Gable Eaton. He is the founder. He's a Marine veteran, right, Gable?
Yes.
The founder of UTouch, which is a company, a technology company that Gable created this really cool product called UTouch that is actually patented. And I'm going to let Gable introduce himself, and then we'll get on into it. So tell him about yourself, Gable.
Let me tell you something. That's amazing how you just segue right into your podcast here from us having just a regular conversation.
See, well, you know what? I want people to feel like they're sitting in the living room or at a bar with us or something, you know? So it's just a conversation. Oh, y'all, and I forgot to say, Gable is in my book. Disrupt Now. Yes.
So double screen. Disrupt Now.
Yeah. All right. So tell them about yourself, Gable.
Okay. So hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, I am a former Marine. I am a Marine.
Yeah, I was gonna say no former.
So yeah, we get kind of cranky when people say former or ex, but I am a Marine Corps veteran. I served 2 years White House duty under Ronald Reagan, who oftentimes found it is his job as to try and make you laugh and break ceremonial poise.
Oh, funny.
But one of my biggest jobs during the White House was the cordons, of course, welcoming foreign dignitaries and laying our fallen patriots to rest out at Arlington.
Aww.
And of course, and of course, the Tuesday night and the Friday night parades where the world famous silent drill platoon performs. No commands are called during the entire ceremony. So I spent my first 2 years in the service there. Yeah, it was great, around generals, colonels, majors, the upper echelon. One of my most fondest memories there was the Marine Corps ball there with the Commandant of the Marine Corps and with the Secretary of the Navy. That was really, a memorable time for me. And then, of course, my time in the fleet is something that I will never, ever forget. All of the lifelong friendships that you meet during your entire tour in the service. Matter of fact, I was contacted by a couple of people last week. Some really good uplifting texts and some emails from some people I had not heard from in such a long time, and they found me on social media.
Aw. How many years did you serve, Gable?
I served one tour. I served 4 years.
Oh, okay. All right.
Years. And then after that, I went into operations. And just the past 20 some odd years, I've run trucking companies as an operations manager. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. It just harkened back to just marshaling that discipline.
Yeah.
And just following different types of processes, which is easy to do when somebody else already has the company set up. But we'll go into that in a little bit. But I always had a calling to be an entrepreneur and to do my own thing. And I will never forget a really good friend of mine. I call him my brother. We were going to open up a Domino's Pizza in Washington, D.C. because we figured we'd been at the duty station for about 2 years and a few months after that. So we figured we'd do our entire tour there. And so we applied to open up a franchise. Well, the paperwork had to get past the colonel, and he wasn't having that.
They don't want you to do anything.
It's like, what? You're Marines. You're not piece of merchants. Get out of my office. And it's like, y'all going to the fleet. And there we went. But like I said, the things that you learn, the people that you meet, the character that you become, it's a process. You learn and you become who you really and truly are in those circumstances. And I take my hat off to all of those who have served and their family members as well, because when you have someone in your family that is serving in any one of the branches, you too are serving as well. So all the family members as well. thank you for your service.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. You're welcome, and thank you very much for yours.
thank you. The best decision I ever made. A whole different other subject over there for me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got out, one of the things that I learned was that there was no respect for space in the civilian world. And when I say no respect for space, that meant people leaning over you, and in my case, touching your computer screen and what have you. And that's where the first ideas of UTouch, which I called iTouch at the time, but that was taken.
Okay.
So the UTouch first materialized, and I decided to start working on it.
And this was how many years ago, Gable?
Ooh, this was 2016.
Yeah, so well before COVID.
Well, interesting sidebar here, well before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you something that occurred when COVID first made landfall. But let me share a little something else before going into the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised by a single parent, my mom. And to this day, I don't know how she raised 4 children on her own. But she was absolutely awesome and incredible. So again, hats off to the single parents out there.
Remind me where you grew up.
That was in Oakland, California.
I thought it was Oakland. So yeah, that was
intense. It was a lot different there now, but it was pretty intense, but my mother had a very strong hand, and everything that she taught me followed me into the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. So I give the Marine Corps a lot of credit, but I give my mother the credit for that discipline.
Yeah.
And for that
foundation for the Marine Corps to build upon.
Oh yeah. And it's amazing too, because when you have that foundation and you're there and you see those who don't have it, and then you see how the Marine Corps, or maybe in the Army, you see this, how they build you up.
Yeah.
It's an incredible process. It's an absolutely incredible process. People get little glimpses of it in the movies or whatever, but it's not something that you can ever explain. And this is why we are such a tight community.
Yeah.
A very tight community.
Not to get off topic, but when I first met Tom, well, he'd already been in 20 years. So we were only together the last 6 years of his service. But I remember when I first met him and we would go on the base, it's like I felt like I was almost like on a college campus, because it's like you have that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Everybody is part of something bigger. And when you transition out, that's one of the huge things that people miss, is because there's typically not that in the civilian world.
It's really huge. And it's amazing that you said that, because it comes a point in time when you're in the service, when you first get in and you're young. And I can remember to the day, the exact moment when I realized that, 1, I was an adult. 2, I had taken on a huge responsibility. And of all places, I was on the base and still in school, past boot camp, meritoriously promoted out of boot camp, meritoriously promoted out of ITS. But I was there at ITS, and I was at the E Club, at our club. And I was standing at the door, and I was looking out at the parking lot on the base. And then I was looking at the buildings where we were housed, where we lived. And I turned back around and I looked inside, and there was just us. You understand that? Us.
Yeah.
Us in there. These were Marines. These were their dates, their girlfriends. Mm-hmm. This was us. And I looked again, and I went, wow. And that feeling just overcame me. And it's like,
I have chill bumps.
Yeah. And that to me is what it was. And I turned back around and I went inside. And from that point forward, that was my family, And it's just like you said, it's like a college campus. We're moving around and we're doing our thing, and our job is to protect this nation. And I think some people tend to forget that.
Yeah.
That we're training these young men and women to go to war, to put their lives on the line.
Yeah.
And that hit me at that moment, but there was no fear. There was just an understanding of, this is who we are and this is what we do.
And you are part of something so much bigger than yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. And you're tested all the time. But that was, my experience in the Marine Corps. And like you say, when you leave, there is a hole, that there's a void there.
Yeah.
And then you have to get used to maneuvering and moving around these other people, and you have to kind of re-enter slowly, and it's a transition. And thankfully now that there are a lot of groups that are there to help you transition. When I transitioned, and when I decided to do my own thing, and I created UTouch out of frustration from people invading my space and reaching over and touching my screen. This is before touchscreens were even interactive. My entrepreneurial juices kicked in. I said, what can I do about this? And I kid you not, when you ask, the universe answers, and iTouch, which is what I called it at first, popped into my head. And of course, it morphed into UTouch. And it was there. And from that point forward, it was about following the process of getting it made, getting it patented, getting it manufactured, and bringing it to the market. There is a serious process. And if you follow my way, you're going to get it wrong. Don't get it backwards.
But that's what everybody does. And that's how we learn.
Yes.
All the things that we do wrong are how we learn. And Gable, your product started from something that you drew, right?
Listen, I should have brought it out here with me. I'm so sorry, because I have the drawing in the back room. I did a rudimentary drawing of what it should look like. I mean, it was raggedy. It was really raggedy. And then I took it to a good friend of mine. I won't say he was a good friend. He was someone that I knew. And we were really, really kind to each other. And he drew renditions of it from different angles, and I actually used that to get my patent.
That's cool. So I want to show y'all, and I had it on my finger, but I'm going to hold it up. This is how much detail. And Gable, of course, not being a woman with long nails, and I don't have long nails either, but he even put the hole on the end, if you can see through it. He can put there's a slot on the end so that people who have longer fingernails, they can go, fit through it.
Yeah.
And there are these little, what do you call them?
Those are little nodules.
Yeah.
On there. Let's see if I can get it right. There's a little nodules on there so you can see it.
And that's your logo, right? That's not something functional. That's just the logo. Because the first time I saw it, I thought it was like some kind of circuitry. I'm like, wait, no, it can't be, because that's on the wrong side.
But see, you got the point, because it looks like circuitry, but it's an actual thumbprint.
And the colors that you have, I can't remember all the colors, but I want to show y'all something else cool that he did. He knew that we couldn't just have something like this laying around and we'd lose it. So he got, this is a pill box, right? Originally.
Yeah, it's a pill box.
Yeah, and so he got that, and the product fits perfectly. So you can put it on your keychain and take it around and just pop it out when you need it. And that was just brilliant, because Gable, if you had to make packaging, oh my God, that would have made the cost of the product exorbitant. But
I'm going to tell you something. This keychain is the power of analytics and Google listening to you.
Oh, okay.
So I kept asking, I was talking to my friend sitting in front of this very laptop. And I was like, I need something small enough to carry this thing in. And I fell asleep in my laptop. And when I woke up, this was on the screen.
Oh, wow.
It was a pill carrier. And I said, I wonder if it'll fit in there. And my friend said, well, I'm like, I don't have the money to buy 500 of these things. And he goes, hits me upside the head and goes, tell them to send you a couple of samples.
Yeah.
And they did. And amazingly,
it's perfect.
It fit right inside.
Yeah. And the fact that the colors, and so he has the colors matching up. So he sent me these. So the green is in the green, and
I got all the different colors.
Yeah, I love them.
Yes.
It's so cool. And I think that shows y'all. So anybody out there who is thinking about a product, anything, you have to be inventive to figure out a way that you can afford to take what it is that you have to market that you can afford to do it, but also so that it makes it not price prohibitive, cost prohibitive for your customers.
And that's one of the biggest things with entrepreneurs is financing and costs.
Yeah.
And it's true. It is really, really hard to get financing, but I am not going to sit here and say it's been extremely difficult for me, because it hasn't, because of my community.
Yeah.
Now, the difficult part is handling your resources, being able to marshal your resources in the correct way. And I'll be the first to say that I haven't always used them as prudently as I should, because this is a learning process.
Yeah.
The idea is not to go broke or bankrupt in the process, and to make sure that you control your product and your idea. UTouch was created simply out of frustration, because I didn't like people touching my computer screen. But then I quickly realized that no one wants to touch these touch screens and these touch pads out in public.
Yeah.
So by the time I came to market at in the middle of 2019, just prior to COVID hitting, it was because I was involved in a process, Bunker Labs, CoLab and Co-Starters in Chattanooga. Chattanooga being the city that put me on, so to say, that gave me the resources that I needed and made it possible. Felicia Jackson, another entrepreneur that I know that you're aware of, the creator of the CPR wrap, gave me her manufacturer.
Oh, okay.
You see, I was searching and looking and searching and looking, and she handed me her manufacturer.
That's worth a fortune, because listen, y'all, if you get hooked up with the wrong manufacturer, you could literally go broke, but also you can end up with crap for product.
Let me show you this.
Everything can just be blown up from the beginning. While you're getting that, I want to mention talking about community is huge, because it's not just about having connections who can connect you with other people. It's about learning from their mistakes as well. So when you surround yourself with people who have already been where you want to go, and they don't even have to be in the same industry, but when you surround yourself with people who already have experience and they've made all the mistakes, they're giving you a jump start. You get to learn from them, and you get to make new mistakes. You get to skip over the ones, learn from them, from their mistakes, and then you make your own mistakes, but then you're there to help other people learn from you.
That's right. And don't be hard-headed, and listen. And listen. One of the hardest parts of doing this, because most people who do this, let's face it, you're an alpha personality.
Yeah.
You have an alpha personality, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I don't care if you are a man or a woman. I talked to a retired major today, and she is awesome, and my heart just swells. And so I am not one of those Marines that don't believe that women should serve or whatever, but I think that when you are an alpha personality like that, you have to back that thing down and dial it back, because you need help.
Yeah.
No one rules a kingdom on their own. No one rules a company on their own. I look at probably one of the most despised men in the world right now, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. But look at who he surrounds himself with. And he's got Sandberg right there with him, and she's a leader, but you listen to those people who have that experience and have been to those things before you. Don't be hard-headed like me and do a lot of things on your own. And
and that's a common thing. And I mean, I've had I've been an entrepreneur since 1990. I've owned this business, my web and marketing strategy business, since 1996. I never had a coach until the end of 2018, I guess it was. Which, I was like, why do I need a coach? I mean, I don't know if it was so much ego. I don't think with me it was so much that. I was just so busy running my business, raising my kids, caring for a father-in-law with Alzheimer's, that I was just like, day to day to day, you know.
Mhm.
But all those years ago, if I had surrounded myself with more entrepreneurs and had a good coach or been part of masterminds and that kind of thing, it would have saved me so much heartache and grief, because it just helps you avoid the mistakes, or it helps you, even when you make the mistakes, it helps you recognize them sooner.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. They help you go ahead. They keep you in a certain mindset to count your wins.
Yes. Yeah.
Count your wins. Don't look at all of your losses.
That's
Count
a
your
great
wins.
point.
And you build off of those wins. You learn from those mistakes, but you build off of those wins. Listen, I can talk about my experiences and going through this until I'm blue in the face.
Mhm.
People can talk about their what they've accomplished and how hard it was to get there. But if you haven't learned anything from it, you know, then you're just running your mouth.
Yeah.
And I think with me, I'll tell you one of the reasons why it was hard for me to take on a coach or to listen, because I've always thought that, I'm like, well, if you've done so great, why are you coaching?
Yeah.
Well, they've done so great and they're coaching and they got that time to spare. They can afford to give that time to help someone else. You know, when people, I have found that people who have made it, that people who have been successful, they want to share their knowledge. What they don't want to do is waste their time. You see,
You are exactly right. Most entrepreneurs really, really want to help entrepreneurs. They're not going to do it for you. They're not going to really tell you what to do or hand it to you, but they want to help you, but they can't afford to spend their time with somebody who's stubborn and isn't going to take their advice. So you're exactly right.
And you got to do, you know, I got so tired of hearing it. You got to do the work. You got to do the work. Listen, I created this thing. I got it patented. I got it manufactured. I done sold so many units, and still you got to do the work.
Yeah. And you're like, what else? What work? What do I have to do? Right.
You know, there's more work. And I think that I was a big fan, and I still am a big fan of how I built this and listening to a lot of the entrepreneur programs. But then one day I had a friend point out to me, and this ain't knocking anybody. She said, that's a really elitist program, you know. I mean, and then I started listening closely, and I'm like, wait a minute. Somebody gave you $75,000. Wait a minute. Your dad was already in the business and he gave you $150,000. Like, oh, you did what? I'm like, where's the work, man?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and probably one of the I can say, I remember listening to Gwyneth Paltrow and listening to her story. And I was like, wait a minute, but you're not a true entrepreneur. You had millions. You didn't put anything on the line, but she did. She put in a lot of work. You know, she had the money to pay for it, so you can't knock her for that. You know, so people put in the work, and I remember my girlfriend telling me. I remember Shemaine telling me, "What makes you think you're so different, Gable? You're going to suffer a little bit, so stop. Don't complain. What makes you think What makes you think
you need somebody to yank you back in line, don't you?
Yeah, it's like you're no different. So you know, how many times have you told me how this person suffered this and had to sell their wedding rings just to make ends meet? What makes you think you're not going to go through that?
Yeah.
And the thing is that programs, some of the programs that I listen to, they gloss over a lot of that pain. You know, sure, we're supposed to move with grace and ease, but you're gonna feel the pain.
You do. And I think that's one thing that people who are not entrepreneurs don't realize how hard it is. And then people who are new entrepreneurs, they don't realize how hard it is, and they feel like they're the only ones. They feel like I'm all alone.
Right.
Being an entrepreneur can literally be one of the most lonely things in the world, because most people don't think like us, Gable. And most people are like, well, why don't you just get a job? Well, that's why, you know, okay, let me just slash my wrists.
and we're going through it. And we're literally going through it, and they can't see it. Again, and she's going to hear this, you know, my girlfriend Shemaine would be like, planning for a vacation. Well, let's go to Vegas. Let's do this. And in the back of my head is, I can use that money for something else. I'm not trying to spend any money to go to Vegas right now. Let me show you something here. I remember at the time, and this is a good segue. I made a $7,000 mistake.
Ooh, tell us about that.
I made a $7,000 mistake. And I asked for them to make the nodules a little bit bigger.
Okay. And that's the little bumps on the
right. Now
okay.
you hold yours up to the camera. Let me show you this. So
I'm going.
This is the way they came. Okay,
yeah.
Beautiful. They work perfectly. They work well. I thought to make the one on the tip a little bit bigger, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I said, hey, I want you to make those a little bit bigger. First of all, anything you want done with your manufacturer, you mark them up on that diagram. You don't tell them anything. So this is what they did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Won't move the screen. $7,000 to retool.
Wow.
There went my advertisement budget for Christmas that year. Everything was already planned out. And it took me a year to recover.
Wow.
And in that time, this is what I say people don't understand, a lot of what we go through. In between that time, the people who know what you're doing and are aware of your product, they're thinking, oh, you should be a millionaire by now. You should be this, you should be that. But you don't know what's going on in the background.
That's right.
It's like right now, I haven't been on social media because I'm building in the background. I'm in this wonderful book right here. It's called Disrupt Your Now. It's by Kipps-Brown. Make sure you go out and get it because there's a section in here. Oh, wait a minute. I have the page bookmarked right there. He's included me in this book right there. See that? Gable Eaton. So make sure you go out and get that. I'm doing things like that. I'm communicating with people like this. I'm cementing that foundation, working with these people over here, because sometimes your market is not on social media.
That's right.
And so we have to be aware of that. So the mistakes that you make and the things that are going on in the background, as an entrepreneur, you've got to ignore everyone else that doesn't have anything specifically to do with what you're doing and keep your mouth shut.
That's such a great point. And that's one of the reasons that I wrote the book, because so many people start a business because they're like, I want to be my own boss. I want to be in charge of my, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be in control of my life. But then when they start their business, they look at what everybody else is doing and they go, well, I have to do this because they're doing that. And I got to do this because so-and-so's doing that. And before they know it, they've built a business that is not anything they ever wanted. So like for me, I like to be able to live anywhere, work from anywhere. I don't like managing people. I like working with people. I don't like managing people. So
I'm trying to get to your level where you can work from anywhere.
So when I have employees, they have to be people who can work on their own. I have to work with people who are self-starters and basically have an entrepreneurial mindset themselves. So there are things like that about myself. And the biggest mistakes I've ever made are when I made decisions that took me in the opposite direction. For example, when my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and I started caring for her, I already knew the Alzheimer's part of it because I'd already cared for my father-in-law. But with her, I already had my business. I'd owned it for, 16 years or something. And instead of doing what I would have done for my clients and been like, well, this is how, what you like, what you don't like. Let's make changes that fit in with your lifestyle, the way you want to live your life. Instead, I was like, I got to go hire somebody. Because I'm going to be so busy. I got to hire somebody. Almost bankrupted me because it was a terrible, terrible hiring decision. So anyway, even for myself, even though I help people every day not make those mistakes, I made the mistake myself because I'm too close to it.
What did I hear? Okay, here's the thing. We've heard the cliche that a doctor can't operate on himself. But you know what? A knife can't sharpen itself.
True.
A psychic can't predict something for themselves or what have you. They have to have someone, a guru can't guru himself. He has to have a flock of people. you know, it's like I said earlier, right? When you're working, when I took on the position of operations manager for the trucking company, right? Don't get it wrong. There were processes that were in place, but I had something to build from. And
Yeah.
I had something that was structured already. I just made it better and more efficient. You see, and then I became a part of the culture, and then my personality and discipline just devoured that culture, and everything started coalescing around me and how I ran the shop. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You're building it from the ground up, you know, and you're here and you're there and you're here and you're there. And it's just you, you know, and being the Marine that I am, you know, you would think that I knew how to delegate, you know, different things to do, but these aren't Marines I'm working out here with.
Right.
They can't look at me and see where I am deficient at and pick it up and run with it. What they can do is look and see where you're deficient at and criticize you.
True. Yeah.
You see, instead of building you up, they will criticize you. And for a person like me, wrong thing to do, you know, bring something to the table, bring something to the party. I mean, I was literally talking to a man today, and he was like, oh, what do you need? Do you need some money? You need a partner. But I knew right then and there, you're not bringing any strategic advantage to the party.
Yeah.
So no, I won't need you. I got bills to pay. I got a lot of bills to pay. I got loans to pay back. I got, you know, bills to pay. But I'm not going to allow someone just to throw money at me so this can be fixed over there. You're not bringing anything else to the table.
Yeah.
So that's something you want to think about as an entrepreneur. It's like, what is this person bringing of value to the table? You know, I mean, and you can get all these people to tell you what to do. You should do this, you should do that. But two things, I no longer listen to people who have not done it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you haven't written a book, you can't tell me how to write a book.
Exactly. Yep.
If you have not built the product from the ground up, you're a salesman. You can tell me how to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, you can.
And even if they built a product, if it isn't something where you have to deal with manufacturers, because I built digital products and digital online companies that I've sold, I've never had to do this. I wouldn't even know where to begin, Gable.
Whew, man,
learning. I'll call you if I get an idea.
Man, yeah, and you know what? And it's really nuts. I sat down the other night at my job at night because I still work at night.
Okay.
And
you're still in logistics, shipping, or whatever at night.
Yeah, I'm still doing the same thing in a warehouse environment instead of a trucking environment now.
Okay.
And that's fine for now. But like I said, I have my team now. And so now everything's about to really, really start functioning the way that I've dreamed of it and envisioned it functioning and moving in that way. And now it'll be like, just take your laptop with you and make sure everything is getting done.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the point where I'm headed now.
That's awesome.
But it takes that work, man. And you have to forget the people around you and how they're looking at you sideways because they think you should be here, you think you should be there, or what have you. And they have absolutely no clue. I love what I do. I mean, literally. And that's what you say when the people around you are going, well, you should do this, or you need a job, this, that, and the other. You're not in my head.
Yeah.
You're not seeing what I'm seeing. And
somebody who isn't an entrepreneur just cannot put themselves in our head, and they cannot understand why we would want to take the risk, why we would want to work way more than they do, and how, you know, they just don't get it. But I mean, I worked in the corporate world, you know, when I first got out of college, and worked for several different companies. I was miserable. I always knew that I would be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I would end up doing. So you have that mindset or you don't have that mindset.
And then if you really, really see here, this is a psychological shift. This is how I helped one of my friends who hated his job. And I said, hey, wait a minute. I said, okay, so you're an entrepreneur. How am I an entrepreneur and I work for this company? I said, wait a minute. I say that's a trick of the mind. That's what they want you to believe.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, everyone's an entrepreneur.
That's right. Their career is their business.
Your
right?
career is your business.
Yes.
You are your commodity. Listen, you are exchanging your time for performing a service. Okay? And let me put this. I remember when I first got a glimpse of this and understanding, I was a kid and I was working at Arby's. I was working at Carl's Jr. And the manager said to me, hey, you need to smile a little bit more. And I looked at him and I said, you don't pay me to smile. And my friend said, oh, yeah, he does. He does pay you to smile. You have to smile at the customers, and that's what they pay you for. And I looked at him and says, look, Gabe, he says, just picture, we were in California. He said, picture it this way. When you come to work, it's an 8-hour day acting job. Come in, smile on cue, and give the people what they want.
That is great advice.
Yeah. And another 16-year-old gave me that advice.
Oh, wow. Wonder what that 16-year-old is doing now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what Marvin's doing. He was an artist, but he said, it's an 8-hour day acting job. When it comes to work and understanding, and this is what I explained to my friend, that job that you keep saying that you hate allows you to pay for your house, pay for your car, feed your children, send your people to school or what have you. That's what that job is doing for you. I remember listening to Ray Diallo, and he was talking to Sean Puffy Combs, and he says, hey, man, when you look at fair and equitable, what are you talking about? It's like, what are you exchanging your time for? You see, either you're going to exchange your time for $15 an hour. That's what you decided what you were worth.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or you're going to exchange your time for $120,000 an hour. That's what you decided you're worth.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in there, in the area of I want a limitless amount of capital return that I can exchange my time for. And therefore, I'm willing to take a bigger risk.
Yeah.
I'm willing to put everything on the line. And you have entrepreneurs who are like that. The key is not to end up like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie, like Hollywood Shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
It's not to end up sitting on the street corner with just one more little hoe cake in your hand. I got one more.
I haven't seen that forever. I need to go watch it.
That's all I need, No, you, like the great Renee Bob says, an entrepreneur is about making some money.
Yeah.
You have to make some money. You have to earn a living. And that's the battle.
Well, and you have to decide when you're starting a business, you have to decide also, am I building a business so that I have a business I can sell? Like your business is products and that you are building something up that you can sell. Other people may value a lifestyle business more. And that's what I valued more, simply because I like the freedom to be able to move anywhere and do this and do that. Neither one is wrong, but if you don't know what it is that you are after, you're going to end up building the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because I'm building a business that I'm going to sell, because this is just the first product. I have two more products in this vein coming after this one. Okay.
I know about one of them. I'm not sure.
Yeah. There's UTouch, and then there's Tech Touch Warriors. And I'm not going to go too much into them, but there are two other products coming after this one. And then even after that, irrespective of this, I've got two more products that I'm going to push out under a different banner. But what I'm doing now is creating a company that is going to be sustainable so someone can come and buy it.
That's right.
And I can move on to creating the leisure brand that I have envisioned based on the other two products.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So for me to be a true entrepreneur, people talk right now about, you have to have at least 4, 5, 6 streams of income. Well, yeah, that's great. Or maybe you need enough income to invest in 6 or 5 different streams that are going to bring passive income, that are going to bring you money, passive income investments, you know. And I'm really happy to be a part of the Mobis group, which gives me that opportunity to network with 10x people that are talking about how to accomplish this and how to do that. And they're freely sharing. And it's not a mastermind group where you have to pay anybody to be a part of.
Yeah.
It's something that you're invited to, and the people in there are of a like mind. You bring something to the table, they bring something to the table. They see your accomplishments, like, watch this plug. You saw my accomplishments and you included me in this great book called Disrupt Now. And she didn't pay me for this. I just love doing it to her.
I know, right?
She put me in that book. And I'm like,
well, and look, y'all, I'm at Gable because Blake Hogan from Bunker Labs, we were talking, he was on my show, and I'm like, yeah, I want some more people in the book. And he's like, oh my God, you got to meet Gable, you know? And so we would have never met, but I said, I want somebody else who's really cool, really interesting. He's like, oh, Gable's your guy. And that's how we met. And, you know, we've struck up a friendship, but it's business and friends.
And see, and I'm going to tell you something. Blake Hogan has been a champion of mine, and I'm not going to let that man down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to continue working hard because that was someone who just believed in me. And I appreciate it so much. I appreciate what he's done. I appreciate what Iron Mike has done. He hasn't put my podcast up yet, but that's okay. I appreciate Bunker Labs. I appreciate everyone over there because they work so hard and diligent to help these veterans and the spouses of veterans do what it is that they want to do as entrepreneurs.
And you and Monifa both are in that thing with Macy's, right?
So we did the Macy's workshop. We were with the last cohort. And right now we still have our mentors from the Macy's workshop program. As a matter of fact, I was on with Renee Bob and the Black entrepreneur arm of that whole section today. And Sharika Smallwood came on from Macy's and spoke to the new members of that group. And I was glad to be there because I let them know, hey, apply for this program. This is a prestigious program that is going to give you so much information. And again, here it is again with the connections. I will forever be grateful for my connection to Lisa Kipps-Brown.
Thank you so much, Gable.
And
I just want to say how proud I was. I'm like, oh my God, 2 people in the book, 2 veterans who happen to be in the book, all 50, it's 8 of the 50 are veterans, but 2 of y'all in the book were accepted at Macy's workshop, not because of me. I'm not saying that. I just thought it was so cool. That's the kind of people that we have in the book are people who are out there doing it and making it happen.
Oh, and I'm just reading my portion of the book. I'm reading other people's stuff will pop up in here. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? I make it my job to read at least 10 pages a day. You know, and I
laugh. I tell people it's a bathroom book for business because it's got all those short. Read as much or as little as you want. But Monifa, the lady that we're talking about, Monifa Keynes, is a veteran, and she owns Queen of
awesome.
Space. I love her products. She is so fun and cool, and her products are awesome. But I wanted to mention, we were talking about people who are employees. That's an intrapreneur.
Yeah.
When you are an employee, you are still an entrepreneur, but it's intrapreneur because it's within something. You still have to think branding, positioning, pricing, all of that. You have to think of the industry you want to be in, the kinds of clients you want to have. That's the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I have had a lot of people reach out to me who are not entrepreneurs, like teachers and everything, reach out and say, oh my God, I love your book. It's helping me so much because it's helping them kind of, navigate their own career more. And
it's a real thing. I have a really good friend. Her name is Ramsey Ringo, and she coaches and she guides college graduates into their careers.
That's great.
Because, okay, so you went to medical school, you did all of this, but now what are you going to do?
How you come out, book stuff. And you're like, I want
book stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Book stuff.
That's how I was. I had a degree in accounting. I had a degree in accounting, passed the CPA exam without study, but all I knew was book stuff. I'm like, if I had really understood what accounting was going to be like, I would have never gone into that, because I was like, I hate this. I was really good at it, and I liked I like doing number stuff, but I hated the actual work and the kind of people that you work with and everything. But I was going to say that on the entrepreneur angle, for example, I was working with somebody who was looking for a new job, and I kept saying, you're not thinking big enough for yourself. Anyway, I worked with her to help her understand what her strengths were and help her take that step back and look at all of the experience that she's had over the decades. She ended up getting an offer for about 60% more than she was expecting to get. And it's all because she took that step back and looked at herself as a business. What am I bringing to the table? What am I bringing to offer? And, what do those clients, the people who want to hire me, what are they going to have to pay to be able to access my knowledge? I answered someone on LinkedIn the other day, and it was a company looking for this incredible person for an entry-level job, but you had to have an MBA for an entry-level position. Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? For an entry level? I say, and so the question was, what do you think of when you hear entry level? And I wrote a lot about that. I said, entry level. I said, you're going to do a job that you're going to be doing a job that they're going to be paying you way too little for and expecting the world. And then when you go up and ask for a raise, they're not going to allow you to transition out of that position. If you're good at your job, they're not going to allow you to transition out of that position, and they're going to take you to the highest title of that little position. And then when you ask for a raise, they're not going to give it to you because you're maxed out at that level.
Yeah.
You're stuck. And what you did with that person was show them what their true value and their true worth was as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What you're bringing to the table, because it's just like being an entrepreneur, because you're looking at a problem and you're solving it. Yeah. And you're just telling them, I'm coming to solve this issue and that issue and this issue that you have here. And here's my experience.
And as an employee or whatever, you have to have a strategy for marketing yourself and positioning yourself and all that. This is what I want to bring to the marketplace. And the marketplace is potential employers.
Yeah. When you take a look at, say, like a company like Home Depot, which I used to work for, right? When I went into their system, there are like 8 paths that you can take to management. And most of the employees that are working there, they don't know it because they never open it up. And it's amazing. I remember I was in there and I opened up what I call the Hydra, and there was a manager behind me. And when I started opening up, I went to him and I said, let me show you how this worked. It went to him, and then it had an arrow up, and I say, bam. And I pop that arrow and I say, those are all your bosses, aren't they? He said, yeah. And then I opened it up against their head. Then bam, it opened up against them. I said, there's their bosses. Bam. And there's the marketing department. And he was like, how did you find that? And I'm like, this guy's the manager.
Wow.
It's not like, I looked at it and I went, it's in your system.
Cable. He wasn't a Marine though.
Man, you better go investigate this stuff. Better check out the name.
I'm going to show you this question from Glenn. He may not still be here. But he said, did you get a business lawyer to help you apply for the business grants, or did you know how to do it yourself? Did you actually apply for grants?
Okay. I have Renee Bob for that. Okay. So you don't have to get a business lawyer to help you apply for a grant.
Yeah.
You can apply for grants on your own. So let me give you 2 things here. If you're going to apply for a grant and you have a business, make sure your taxes are done. Make sure you have your business license, and make sure you know your numbers, because that's what they're going to ask you for. Some applications are a lot more tedious than others, But no, you don't need a business lawyer for a grant at all. Grant is free money.
Yeah.
You
just need to know how to fill it out, how to write things in a way that.
And how to go find them. Exactly. Yeah. And the best way to find out, like say the Comcast grant or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Go and research who won last year.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Look at their profile and look how they built up their profile. Mm-hmm. When I did my website and I had to list the stuff on my website, I went to Amazon and I looked how people had their products listed. Mm-hmm. And I just, so the short answer is no, you don't need an attorney to apply for a grant. Okay. You don't need an attorney to get a business license.
Right.
What you need attorneys for are your contracts. Mm-hmm. Okay. I had an attorney build out my operating agreement. You see, and my partner, Chance, he was like, and she asked, do you want him involved? And I said, yeah. And she said, yeah, I do, because we had a discussion. And he's like, this is your legacy. This is your company. We want to make sure that you're protected.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're working with people who that are trying to get what they can get, and they're not thinking about you, and you are the vision behind it, get rid of them.
Yeah.
You see, and again, I think about Mark Zuckerberg. He put together a great team. And that team looked out for him, where he's like, no, you can't vote me out of my company. You can't own enough stock to push me out of my company. This is my company. I built it. And it sounds kind of selfish, but it's not.
It's not. I mean, if you're the one that started, and you see that all the time, though, that people build a company up, and then before they know it, they get to a point that they get voted out. They get
Steve Jobs. It happened to him. Mm-hmm. So don't think that you're too smart not to have that happen to you, but you want those safeguards in place. So
what about your patent? Did you have someone help you with applying for the patent?
Okay, so what I did was what was called a patent search. Okay, and I went and looked for any products like mine. When I saw that there were none like mine, then I went out and I got a patent lawyer, and I gave him the search that I had already used and the search parameter. Because here's the thing, you're gonna pay that attorney. You ain't getting around it.
Yeah.
Because you don't understand Boolean language or anything to go and for some of you do, if you're a rocket scientist or something like that, you're a coder or whatever. But for the average person, you don't know how to use the Boolean language that they're using inside of that system to go and do these complete searches for you. Yeah. So pay the attorney, man.
But the other thing is, even when you're working like with an expert like that, it's a great point that you said you did the original research, because I don't care if it's an accountant or an attorney or whatever, if you don't give them the right information, they cannot pull out the other end what you need.
Garbage in, garbage out.
What?
Garbage in, garbage out.
Oh, yeah. So you can't just give things over to people and expect that they're going to figure it all out. You need to kind of have in mind.
And they're not.
You need to be well versed enough that you can communicate with them and make sure that they are doing what you need them to do. Not that you're telling them what to do and how to do it, but that you know enough to know whether they're doing what you need or not.
Yeah, and don't make the mistake of thinking that just because you hired a professional that they're going to do exactly what you need to do. It's like, Lisa, like you just said, you still got to be on top of them. You got to ask questions.
Yeah.
You got to, you got to know what you
have to do. This is not entrepreneurs, but all you have to do is look at that case in South Carolina now, the Murdoch family, and where he took all that money, that was supposed to go to the clients, and they didn't ever even know that there was a settlement, and it was like several $1 million.
Yeah.
So you have to be plugged in, and you have to know what the people who are working for you are doing.
And this is the real part. The one thing that I did remember, one of the things that I did remember was that MVP, a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out if you have a market for it. Now,
before you go put a fortune in time and money into it.
And here's the thing. Stop listening to them people that are trying to charge you $1,500 a month to try and find your client. They don't know who your client is. Do some research first on your own and figure out the best that you can with that demographic is. So when you go to that person, look at their resume, see who they've helped, get some results. I listened to this one guy tell a guy, he says, listen, and this is a guy that earned people multi-millions of dollars. And he's talking to this guy and he said, this is my price and this is what I'm charging. And the guy said, man, that's too steep. I don't know if I want to pay somebody that much just for some marketing and target marketing research. And the guy told me, he says, okay, here's the thing. How about I do this? I believe in your company and I believe in your product. I will give you my services for free for 50%
of your company,
of the income.
Okay.
50% of your sales.
Yeah.
The guy goes, no, that's too much. He says, hey man, why not? I'm taking all the risk.
Yeah.
Okay, you got a product over here, but you can't sell it. I'm taking the risk here. So you have to start weighing those things, and to be honest, that was my dilemma, great spokesman for my property, all the connections in the world, all the resources in the world, but can you sell the product? That is the ultimate goal. And so you have to, if you can't do it, you better have a team around you that can help you do that,
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point. Gable, I could talk to you all night, but I've had you for an hour.
Okay.
Oh my God. I love talking with you though. And you have so many valuable lessons for people. So I need to have you back on one night.
Okay, and I should have put that .com at the end of my Tech Touch like you got on the end of yours.
Yeah, so techtouch.com, TEQ touch.com. You were talking about a minimum viable product. That's what in the book, Blake Hogan, the story of how he started his, I can't think of the name of the company, but where they did those collapsible gates. It was right after the Vegas shooting. And he was in Nashville and they were getting ready to have some big event. And, the city was really worried about what are we going to do if something happens and we have to get people out really quickly. And they just kept like basically taping things together, he and his friends, and they weren't looking to even start a company, but it just like accidentally happened. But it's like build something ugly and just see, does this work? Will anybody buy it? Then build something. Keep building ugly things until you know you have what people need. Then go build the thing that's beautiful or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Gable. So tell them how they can buy your product. Tell them anything you want them to know about buying the product.
Okay, so my name is Gable Eaton, and I am the creator of UTouch. Okay, you can pick this up on my website at techtouch.com. That's TEQTOUCH.com. And what is this product for? It's so that you don't have to come in contact with germs on public touchscreens and touchpads anywhere. It's also a great branding tool.
I was going to say that in case you didn't.
Companies can put their logos on the unit and on the carrying case, and UTouch is really easy to use. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. Yep.
See?
Oh, yeah.
That's going to work. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm on a laptop, and y'all can't see it, but even on my trackpad, my little air is going all over the screen. So yeah, I'm glad that you said the thing about the branding, because I was going to if you didn't, but I should have known that you would. But yeah, so the little pill case that he has is perfect.
And I make them now myself. I make the pill cases myself now.
Oh, okay.
So
perfect
right there.
Branding. You got real estate on both sides. And this is something that if you bought, like, I'm sorry, Christmas.
Hey,
everything's coming. This is what y'all need to give away. People aren't going to throw this away.
It's the perfect Christmas stuffer.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Perfect. And people aren't going to throw this away.
No, they're not.
But, but you also need this to go with it.
That's right. And look at that color.
That's right.
It's crazy.
The book on my site, if you go to Kipps-Brown.com, you can buy the book in bulk on my site if you want to be able to give that to your customers. So if you're an exit strategist or anything that you have B2B clients and you want to give them something that they're not going to throw away, give them Gable's UTouch and my book. And my book, you can just buy it straight up, the paperback. But if you really want something cool, you can white label it and have the whole back cover with your company stuff.
Ooh, that's great.
Yeah. So it's like, so if somebody buys it, like I said, they're a financial planner or an exit strategist or something, the whole back cover can be information about their business.
Wow.
But either one of those, people are not going to throw this away, y'all. They're going to be using it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Gable, I'm so happy that Blake introduced us
I am too.
Last year?
Last year.
These years, COVID's got, I don't even know what year I'm in anymore.
Yeah.
So it was last year. But I'm so glad that Blake introduced us, and I'm so glad that you were in the book and that you've been on my show tonight. And I just cannot wait to see what your company does, because I know it's going to be huge, and I'm going to be able to go, I knew Gable back when.
Same here.
Yeah. Thank you so
Lisa.
much. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your time too.
All right. See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Okay.
Okay.